doing that. Okay, we are recording, please. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance
Allegiance
to the flag
of
the United States of
America,
America,
and
to
to
the
the
to
republic
the republic
for which
for
it
which it
stands,
stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible, with
indivisible,
liberty and justice
with
for all.
liberty and justice for all. Okay. Agenda, review of the last meeting's minutes. In deference to all of our time, are there any corrections, changes, or anything to be made to any of the October's minutes? And anyone feel free to pipe in. Speak up. If not, I ask for a motion to approve the draft minutes of the October meetings as presented. Can someone set that motion going?
So moved.
Voted. I
second.
see Beth raising her hand, and unanimous. So the minutes are approved. Chief's report. Chief, would you like to go into your report? And I do have some questions on your report when we get to the finances.
Sure, I sent the report to everybody last Friday.
Yes, sir.
I could read it, but I think everybody's read it. It's the boilerplate report. There's nothing
Yes.
unusual in it. And if anybody has any questions, I'm prepared.
I'd like to go to the fiscal year, the current fiscal year spreadsheet.
Yes,
And I highlighted, just for everyone's sake, OT injury. I think we understand why that is. You know, we've had a captain out for quite a while, et cetera, et cetera. So I understand that line item. But if we go down the page, we have two items that actually are pretty high. One is repairs to emergency equipment, which is not the apparatus. And then right below that is repairs to mobile equipment, which are the apparatus. And my question is, we're really high on the I'll call it the equipment, but on the mobile apparatus, I have a sneaking suspicion that we're going to get some bills there. Is that correct?
yeah, we have some bills outstanding, but if you take the encumbrance out of the total amount, it's a more reasonable amount. The actual spending year to date is under control and nothing unusual.
Okay.
We do blanket purchase orders early in the year. It makes it easier to pay invoices.
Yes.
So if you just take out the encumbrances, we're in pretty good shape. I'm not
Okay.
concerned about either line.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions on the current year tracking? Beth, you're raising your hand.
Not on that, on the overtime analysis.
Yes,
Is that for presentation for the budget to Board of Finance and Town Council?
it's basically just for the fire commission, but if anybody on the town council or board of finance would like a copy of it, it's available for their use. Sometimes they don't understand how overtime works. And I
Right.
can just give them this document and it explains where we have been and where we're going.
Right. And Beth and Beth, you've been on the other side of this on the Board of Selectmen. But Paul, you haven't been through this with us. And just for clarification's sake, you know, we have turnover on the different boards, whether it's finance or town council or whatever, including selectmen. And the chief does a good job of explaining overtime, but please remember to that they don't all understand how fire department overtime works versus what they're used to. I'll call it in the private market, and that's why we continue to explain it to them. So it's it's not a wasted effort. It's actually a good business practice on our part. Chief,
Yeah,
if,
I thought it,
go ahead, Beth. Beth?
just thought it was, I thought it was great. Good job. It's really handy to have.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's a good thing to do, and it keeps them all appraised of what goes on in our department. Chief, do you have any comments on the draft operating budget? I know we haven't been asked for anything, but you know,
We're supposed to get a timetable from the CFO later this week. We had a managers meeting today with the first selectman and all the town managers, and we briefly discussed the budget. It was hinted that they're going to put a 2% cap on the total town budget for the next fiscal year. They also said that since all the collective bargaining agreements will expire before the next budget starts, that they want the payroll lines to stay flat because there are no raises out there because there are no CBAs. But we'll do a couple of budget drafts. We'll do one with flat employee expenses, and then we'll do one with a temporary or placeholder 2% increase just to see what we really are going to need and try and see if we can stay under the 2% goal.
okay. All right, well, it's early days and they haven't even asked us for capital yet, have they?
They have not. I talked to Linda earlier in the week and told him that I can't submit any budget requests until after it's approved by the commission. So he understands that. So if we don't have anything by early December, we won't be able to submit anything until after the first of the year when the next commission meeting is.
Well, that's life in a big city. Are there any other questions for the chief about his report?
No.
Okay, in that case, let's move on to the fire marshal's report. Fire Marshal Payne, you're up, and this is your first time in the seat with us. We generally look, as you know, at the report of activities. That's the Word document that that's submitted to us in the past. Do you have any outstanding items on that list of which we need to be aware that might be a problem? And if not, that's okay to say so, but we'd love to have you opine on that or comment.
I don't believe there's anything outstanding, and I do apologize. I tried to get to as many of these as I could. As you know, I was still in the building department last week.
Right, yes.
Some of these I did not get to, and I just went with Fred's last report.
Yep.
But I will have a more complete report for you next month. I would say that Merritt Village, we're looking for on Thursday a partial CO for Building B,
Okay.
which will translate to 21 Maple Street. I do have the addresses. I got those today for all 4 buildings. Jill and I will put them in Firehouse tomorrow. The unfortunate part is they did not file their declaration in time, so they do not have a legal address other than 62 Park Street for the entire complex. But in the interest of what we have to do so that we know where we're going if there's a call, we're going to put the proposed addresses into Firehouse
Okay.
and go from there.
Great.
Yes.
So Paul, if you need any help with any of this, speak up. We're all here to help you get through these, get out of the starting blocks here.
I do appreciate it, Commissioner. So far, so good.
Good, great.
I would also, I'm sure everybody heard about the car fire on October 29th.
Yes.
So that is proceeding. I talked to Sergeant Romano today. He's willing to release the vehicle. I've been playing phone tag with Detective Gregory with the State Fire Marshal's office. He is willing to come down, bring a canine and do a proper investigation here. He will obtain a warrant. And that's, like I said, we haven't spoken yet, but those are the messages that have been transpiring back and forth. So we're hoping to get that done on Thursday. Other than that, there was as my last day in the building department was Friday, and I spoke with the chief about this. We had a first. Tesla has come out with a new solar system, which is the entire roof gets paneled with these glass panels, some being live solar panels and some
Right.
just glass panels. Honestly, to me, at this point, it doesn't look like we should even get up on that roof.
Right.
It was a little damp when I saw it Friday morning, and if you just picture, it's a sheet of glass that you're going to be climbing up on, not knowing which panels are live.
Well, yes, more importantly, yes, you don't know which ones are live. And to your point, watching this as I have, because we in my business, we follow the Tesla company very carefully. It's all fine and well, but we sort of need room on the roofs, not only for for firefighters and other personnel to operate, but we can't just have the whole roof encumbered. On the other side of that, I'd love to hear people's opinions. Doesn't have to be tonight, but I assume most of the time that these are placed, assuming it's a normal old-fashioned gabled roof, that it's only on one side. Let's call it the south side or something, or the west side or something, and that leaves the other side opening if you need to ventilate. So I guess
No, sir, Commissioner. The entire roof
Oh,
has these glass panels. They all
yikes.
match. Some of them being live, and if you're close enough,
Yep.
you can tell which ones are energized. And even if it's disconnected, the disconnect disconnects groups of these solar panels. But if the sun's out, these panels are still producing electricity. Now, granted, it's minimal, but the approach, according to the installer, is you smash these panels as you get to them, they shatter like safety glass, and you keep going. And like I said, this is the first, I believe, the first one in New Canaan.
So we've established standard operating procedures for how to work with electric and hybrid vehicles. Do we have SOGs, SOPs for these types of roofs?
Well, I was hoping, I had spoken with a couple of the firemen who I thought might have encountered them before, neither have. So I was actually planning to get a couple of the guys to go out there. I'll reach out to the owner and we can take a look. We will, at minimum, post a map of which panels are live. And they do have the proper access for firefighters, but they're not going to know. I guess if they stay in the track that they're supposed to stay in, it's all good. But they don't
Right.
know.
But in a bad phraseology, in the heat of the moment, you're not thinking of that.
So that's been forefront in my mind, and we've got to, because we're going to see more of them. They're fairly inexpensive as far as a roof install goes. So it's worth it, but we're going to see more of them. And like I said, this was the first one.
Okay. Let's keep our eye on that subject. I appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
And as far as the rest of my report, you guys have all read it. I'm happy to answer any questions I can.
Anything else for the new fire marshal?
That roof that you referenced, that's a residential property or is that commercial?
It's residential, sir. It's over on Wahackney Road.
Okay, if we are finished with Fire Marshal Payne and questions for him, is there any old business before the commission? If not, there is some new business that developed today, and you all were recipients of an email. And we're not going to go into executive session because we're not going to bring out any names or personal information, but we did receive a request for retirement from one of our firefighters, and I believe it was shared with the commissioners and the chief. So some of the things we'll need to think about in the very near future is obviously we lose a head count, so we need to hire a replacement firefighter. I'll call it on the entry level, if you will. And then we need to begin the process of officer interviews. Chief, would you, not to put you on the spot, but would you care to offer some comments or opinions on that?
Sure, we have a standing list right now of
Right.
candidates for firefighter that the commission can talk about at a future date. And then when it comes to promotions, the CBA now requires that the promotional exam will be by assessment center. We have retained a contractor out of Illinois that will provide the testing when we are ready to administer a test for promotions, where we will do one assessment center for supervisors, which would take care of our lieutenants and captains. If there should be any openings, the list would be good for about 2 years. I anticipate there will be more openings within the next 2 years. So that should be enough to take care of it. We do have enough money in the budget to pay for it. It's going to be approximately, well, I'm not going to say the number, but it's,
Right.
it's in the budget.
So just for clarification, for replacing a firefighter, we actually have a current list of prospective candidates, some of whom we've probably interviewed in the recent past, maybe some of them, I assume, is that right?
Most of the people that we interviewed for the opening we just had have been hired by other departments, so we would probably have to interview again and
Okay.
work on the list. So I'll have to take a look and update the list and make sure that catch up with all the people that have been hired off of it. But the commission should probably consider what they want to do in the December time slot.
Okay. All right. Well, we will, we'll stay on top of this as it develops.
Apologies, I was late. I'm here now. Sorry.
No, we see you, Assistant Chief Gimes. Thank you very much. All right, so we've got that part covered. Let's move on to the rescue truck update, which, Chief, if you'd help us out with that, please.
Sure. The apparatus specification committee went up to the Gowans Knife factory on, I forgot the date. We inspected the chassis. There are a bunch of problems with the cab configuration. It's not exactly what we had ordered. There were some additional things in the cab that we didn't order, and a couple of things were misplaced. We're going to have the committee will be meeting again on Friday to figure out what we're going to do about making changes and see what things we can live with and what things we need to absolutely change. And then we'll progress with body construction. We have updated drawings for the body that arrived last week. And there's issues with the drawings too. So we want to make sure that before they start cutting metal, that we have everything the way we need it before they proceed.
So this is an opinion from me, but we have put $630,000 worth of taxpayers' dollars to work here. And
We
it
have
would
not
be
paid-
my, it
We have
would
not
be
paid
my,
any money at all for this truck.
no, we haven't paid anything yet. But we have put this thing out and, you know, the builders of this vehicle are contractually obligated to give us what we ordered.
Correct.
And I'm not of the opinion that, you know, at any point in time, never mind the economic circumstances, but that we spend taxpayer dollars for less than what we spent many months trying to build, if you will, on paper and expect to receive. I don't see where we need to get anything but what we want.
I'm
I don't know
confident.
how to say, I don't have an eloquent way to say it, but for this amount of taxpayer dollars, if we ordered something, we should get what we asked for.
I believe we'll be able to come to an acceptable solution to the problem. There are some things that are, they're extras. There are things that were put on the truck that we didn't order. So, and we're not being charged for them, but they're there. I believe that we will come up with a plan. We'll renegotiate with the builder and we'll figure out what we're going to do. But I'm confident that we'll be able to straighten this out.
Is this going to delay delivery?
I don't know the answer to that because I'm not sure how long it's going to take them to build the body once they get the okay. We have not accepted the chassis yet, so they're really, everything is kind of stopped right now because without a chassis, they really can't build the body.
That's right.
So I don't know if it's going to delay it or not. It depends on how quickly they can put it together. It's not a complicated build. It's basically a box with a lot of compartments in it.
Right.
So I'm not really sure.
Kerry, you were going to ask something?
So you mentioned that they put some extra things on there that we didn't order. Are there any areas where you feel like we may be considering compromising in order to, move forward?
There's less room in the jump seat area than we had ordered. The compartments are a little larger than we had ordered. And the two rear seats are closer together than we required. So it's a little more cramped in the back than we thought it would be. And that's probably the biggest obstacle right now. There's also another design thing that you might see is that on the officer side of the truck, the window in the jump seat area is smaller than we anticipated because they put an extra external door in. And there's really nothing we can do about that without putting on a new cab. And well, they can fix it, but they won't be able to make the window any bigger. It's not something that's terrible because we've got two trucks, other trucks that have the same size window. We just thought we were going to have a larger window. Not that big a deal, not a safety issue.
Okay.
These are kind of the compromises that we would have to make, is that it'll be a little more cramped in the jump seat area and that window is a little bit smaller. They also have the antennas placed in the wrong place, but that's very easier to do. They can just move the antennas. They have them right now. They're going to be mounted on the high roof. That won't work because then the truck won't fit in the building. We move it to the low roof and we won't have a problem, just like on engine 1 and engine 7. This is the same cab that
Right.
engine 7 have. So we're confident we can fix that too.
We're not losing any seats in the back compartment, are we?
We're not losing any seats. No, they're just a little more cramped because the compartment is larger than we had originally specified. So there's a little less knee room. We're going to be flying in coach, not first class.
I don't know. For that kind of money, I want to be in first class. but
Do they have an explanation as to how that happened?
We're not really sure yet. We gave them the VIN number off of engine 7 and said we want a clone of this chassis. And that's not what we got. We're not really sure why. Don't know who to point the fingers at. We We did the deal with Gowan's Knight. Gowan's Knight subcontracted the chassis to Spartan. The order that Gowan's Knight sent to Spartan is something that they did. We didn't have anything to do with it. We told them what we wanted, and the truck that showed up is not a clone of Engine 7. So that's kind of the complication.
I think it's important to note that, it's not going to have an operational impact. It's tight in the back, but from an operational standpoint, we actually have more storage space than we did before and an extra door.
That's
Okay.
true. That is true.
And remember, this thing's gonna last us 20 years, and maybe it's more important we have more room for more equipment is, I don't know, a thought.
Well, and you guys are getting all that new workout equipment for the meeting room, so just slim everybody down.
Part of the firefighter fitness program.
Yeah, that's right. And the commissioner needs to pay attention to it too, says myself.
What about the fire marshal?
Okay, any other comments about the rescue truck?
I have none.
Well, let Chief just keep us posted on what the solutions are here.
Sure.
And let's move on to a COVID-19 update. And Chief Hennessy and or Chief Kimes, if you'd care to chime in. Assistant Chief Kimes also has the advantage of being our emergency operations head. So I'd love to hear from both of you.
Go ahead, Russ. You can give us
Sure.
of what's going on in town.
Sure. So right now, the EOC has stepped up 2 times meetings a week. We have a core working group with a smaller group on Tuesdays, and then the main EOC meets on Thursdays. We had testing was done on Friday, predominantly for the teachers as students at our schools, which was largely funded through the Board of Education. However, there was open to the public, and some individuals took advantage of it. We have testing site is available on Friday. It is $90 for the public to take. First responders, including volunteers, are subsidized, or the volunteers are subsidized. And I believe, I'm not entirely sure with the career staff, I have to double check on that, but everyone has received the link and everyone is welcome to take the testing. The long-term testing strategy is in discussion. More to come on that. As far as the state guidance goes, it seems like every week we get a new executive order from the governor. So obviously there's the municipalities map with the various colors. It's important to understand that the Board of Education's methodology and metrics for closure is different than what municipalities are doing. And any rollbacks at this point are going to come from the governor's office. We have no clarity as to anything intended. However, if you look at the way that the bar chart, or the line chart is trending, it is not great. So we have had meetings with all the department heads, advised them that the town does have a good PPE stockpile. We are extremely well situated compared to other municipalities and cities in the state. We're very fortunate in that regard. So insofar as protecting our own folks, we're in a very good position. And as for the municipality, contact tracing proceeds. Testing is in discussion, well, in progress, and expanded is in discussion. And the schools are doing an admirable job of keeping it open. Brian mentioned that we're one of 2 municipalities in Fairfield County that still has all in school right now. That may change. Look, this is the nature of things, but as of right now, they've done an exceptional job. So.
And we are in phase 2. We went back to phase 2 from phase 3. There have been no changes at the firehouse right now. Visitors are still allowed. We're getting ready. We're prepared to go to phase 1, which means we would go to lockdown again, like we had early in when the pandemic first came out, which means that we would close all the doors and lock them. You would only come in with permission, and we would keep vendors and visitors out of the building. Volunteers could come in when there's an alarm or something like that, but we anticipate that, as Assistant Chief Kimes said, the trend lines look bad, and we're assuming that this is probably going to happen in the next month or 2, that we probably will have to go back to phase 1 lockdown, and hopefully it'll be a short one, but we have to be prepared and Nobody in the firehouse has been infected yet. We've had a few people that have been exposed and isolated, but we haven't had any infections yet. And common sense says that we eventually will, and we just have to be prepared for that and try to do the best we can to prevent it from happening and spreading in-house. We do have a limited staff.
Fair comment. Thank you. I did not give Sven Bragason an opportunity to speak. My oversight, sorry, Sven. Is
no
there
worries.
anything from the volunteer side that which the commission needs to be aware?
Nothing in particular. You might like to know that we had Chris Isaacs finish his 10 years as a volunteer. He was voted in as a life member during our House Committee meeting last week.
Great, thank you. And there is a little junior firefighter in Kirkland, Washington that appreciates what you did for her. Thank you very much.
So it's always our pleasure. And welcome aboard, Fire Marshal.
Thank you very much.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, next regular meeting is December the 8th, 2020 at 7:30 p.m. Don't know if it'll be in person or via Zoom. It'll be whatever. And is there any other business before the commission? If not, I'd like to have a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
I second.
Unanimous. And the meeting is adjourned. I'm going to stop this recording now. Thank you all for participating.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Oh, thank
you. Good evening.
Good evening.